All right. This one is going to be a crash course for you to build your own sales team. Or if you're a sales manager, I'm going to give you the ultimate step by step guide on building a high performing sales team. Now, very important. I can show you all the tactical stuff to implement here. We're going to go over a bunch here today, but none of this matters if you don't actually implement this stuff. So make sure you take this and you actually go implement it. Have your sales team, build up to 1 million a month, 2 million a month, and then make a lot of money together. So number one is team structure. First and foremost, you need to define the sales roles, right? Let me move myself right here. You first need to define the sales roles clearly. So SDRs and setters, these are people that are responsible for generating inbound leads, whether that's via ads or they're doing outreach themselves. Um, and they're qualifying them, right? They're triaging these leads. Then you have your closers. These are people that are responsible for converting those leads that showed enough interest to invest their time, right? Converting qualifying leads into paying clients. And again, usually this is inbound. In some scenarios, you can do a mix of inbound and outbound. And then you have account managers. This is post sale. If you have like a recurring service that you sell that is, I don't know, 3 5K a month recurring for 12 months, these people will handle the retention and the client experience. And they're partially, you can also utilize them as sales managers, but they can also act as CSMs, customer success managers, because their goal is to make sure that client stays with you as long as possible, paying you X amount on a monthly basis, right? So that's defining the roles. Next, you have each role needs to make sure they have clear responsibilities. Don't just bring on a sales rep and assume they know what they do because you told them, hey, you're a setter, and that's it. Let them know what their day to day flow looks like, right? Um, be extremely, 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 extremely clear on it, because then if they don't understand, you can just go back to, did you understand this when I told you this? Do you understand how to do this? So on and so forth. So be very clear on this. And then next is make sure you're setting proper KPI and expectations. So your sales team will do what you allow. You allow them to get away with not doing EODs 3 days out of the week. That's what they're going to do. You allow them not to put their EOD one day out of the week. That's what they're going to do. You allow them not to record their calls. That's what they're going to do. You allow them to, continuously just offer payment plans to someone rather than trying to get more PIFs. That's what they're going to do. So make sure you set a minimum standard. Again, not an expectation standard, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Make sure you set up a minimum standard. And then next is just tracking, which is basically every metric: end of day, end of week, end of month. Make sure you define KPIs for each role. Some major ones are like for SDRs, number of leads generated. For setters, it could be number of demos booked. Closers, number of deals closed. Account managers, customer retention rate. Um, Again, I'm not going to get too deep into KPIs because it's a fuck ton that we track. But the important part is you know that you need to be tracking KPIs for every role. Number two, we want to try to automate lead qualification as much as possible. So, number one, set up your AI sales rep. We use VAPI. And side note, if you're a setter watching this, or if you're a business owner and you have setters and you're not using AI sales reps, you are already behind. That being said, integrate this with your funnels. So, what the AI does, at least for us and for the clients we integrate this into, the AI will start qualifying visitors based on predetermined criteria, whether it's their job title, whether it's their industry, whether it's their budget, whether it's their urgency when they're looking to do something. Our AI will book or not book or disqualify someone or downsell someone based on the responses the AI gets from the prospect, right? And also, it's, I know you're probably thinking it is very human like. Then you have the AI qualifying questions, right? So customized based on the ICP on your offer. Some examples are like, let's say if we have these three things, right? What is your company's annual revenue? Are you the decision maker for this company? And what's your biggest challenge or challenge related to your product or the service that you're selling? If we're going to give the AI certain responses, okay, if these responses check out, book them on the calendar for XYZ closer. If they don't, then do not book them or send them to a downsell, whatever your setup is for the offer you sell. All right. And then next is you automate lead scoring. Now, I did a separate video on just automating lead qualification and nurture sequences using AI. But we want AI to score the leads based on the responses and the engagement we get from the leads. If you have someone that's looking to do something 6 months from now, their score is going to be different than someone who's ready to go tomorrow, right? Unqualified are not booked or sent to a downsell. Pretty self-explanatory. Only the best leads are passed to the sales team. And side note here, and I'll tell you this in a little bit as well. I don't believe in distributing leads equally. The top closers is always going to get the highest scored leads. Period. In a story. There's no question about it. If I know that closer is going to be the biggest driving factor in my ROAS or whatever sales team I'm managing in that ROAS, that person is the biggest driver of our ROAS to push it higher. That's the person that's getting the between 1 and 5. They're getting the 4s and 5s. They're not getting the 3s. So anyways, next you have performance based comp, right? Number one, obviously commission only. First and foremost, if you are in sales or any type of sales and you are going around asking for commission, you mentally you've already lost. All right. I genuinely believe you're a coward and you don't have uh, enough confidence in your ability that you can hunt and eat on your own. Like you can take, and that's what we do as a business too, right? We don't charge our clients anything up front. We take a piece of the revenue we help them bring in, right? So it's not. I do this as a business as a whole, right? And we're managing many accounts right now, but so your commission structure, commission only for SDRs. This can either be a small fee per qualified lead they generate or per qualified booked demo. Again, these are outbound mostly, so you have to pay them a little bit more than an inbound setter based on if they're booking calls. So if they book, let's say 5 calls and 4 of them show up, this is an outbound call, might not be as qualified, but they're putting a lot more work in, right? That's gonna be 25, 50, 75, $100 per booked appointment. Same thing for a setter. They can either get a fixed amount per booked demo, like the SDR, or you can pay them a small percentage per closed deal, my favorite. But again, we leave this on up to the setters. Some setters want to see a consistent stream of income coming in. So if we're paying them, $50 per appointment, we'll pay them that. So if the way a setter would think is, okay, I need to book 4 appointments today. They all need to show up, and I'll make $50 per appointment. I'll make $200 a day. I'm making a G note a week, right? So on and so forth. Or if the offer is big enough, 5, 10, 20K, they know 5%, they'll make 500 per deal. So they need 3 or 4 deals to make two G's a month. I mean, 2 G's a week. Closers, always percentage of cash collected of the deal closed. Again, ideally, you want to keep them at 10 to 15. Some have them below 10. And I also believe they should get a percentage of any recurring offer. So I know a lot of marketing agencies just pay the closers upfront and then they don't pay them anything after. I do not agree with that, but it's your business. Do whatever you want. Ideally, we want to pay them for everything because that recurring would not exist if it wasn't for this person. Next, you have account manager. Again, ongoing. This is someone almost a blend of the two: a customer success manager, sales manager, and a closer, because they're making sure your client stays on and they're not leaving you. The retention rate stays high. You can pay them a little bit lower. So that is the commission structure for the 4 main roles. Next is a culture. Your culture, your team culture needs to be all the way in sold between the value and the vision of your company. What value your company, your business, or if you're a sales manager, same for you, your sales team needs to understand what value you bring to the marketplace. Why do your customers even use you, or do they even need you? Next, they need to see a vision. And I'm not talking about just the company's vision or the CEO's vision. They need to see their vision fit in within your vision, right? So if they see themselves making whatever, a quarter million a year, they need to be able to justify how they're going to make their vision come true within your bigger vision, right? So make sure this vision and value fits in with the culture when you're hiring sales reps. And then next is monitoring, right? Again, very simple here. If people are doing good, you incentivize them. You always praise people in public. If they're not doing good, you troubleshoot, which is just get rid of them, give them warnings. Hey, you haven't closed a deal in 2 fucking weeks. What's going on? Either improve or leave. Please don't be emotionally attached to these, to a lot of salespeople, unless you have, someone that's on your team for 3 to 6 months and they've been a top performer. Cool, look out for them. But as much as we don't want to believe this, sales is a revolving door, and eventually salespeople come and go. So make sure you reward the ones that stay and are high performers. Again, give them more bonuses. And side note, I have a different training on this, a different video, but we always want to give them, again, everyone's different. Personally, what I've realized, rather than giving somebody 500 extra bucks on their commission payouts every 2 weeks, or giving them a bonus on just adding numbers onto their payouts, something that works really well is sending them physical gifts. Right? It doesn't have to be crazy. It could be even less than the 500 bucks they were promised. It could be a box of cigars. It could be an iPad. It could be, if it's someone that works out, get them a whole fit. But something that's physical, for whatever reason, it has the ability to, they become closer to you, right? Rather than just seeing numbers, right? They see numbers all day. So instead of sending them, let's say they made $500 bonus and their commission was 5K, instead of sending them 5,500, send them the 5K, but then send them a physical gift. Send them whatever, an iPhone or whatever. Send them a ticket to somewhere local to their wherever they're trying to go. Get them a dinner, whatever. It's something physical. All right. Next, we're going to get into the daily structure of the meetings, right? So you have beginning of day, you have middle of day, you have end of day. Beginning of day, all you're focused on is two things: administrative and management. Administrative is basically data. You're grading applications and sales calls that are booked in for today. Let's say today, at the time of this recording, is Thursday. If I'm looking at one of my main focuses as a sales manager is to look at all the applications, all the calls that are booked on the calendar today, start grading them, ideally start disqualifying the ones that aren't a good fit. I also want to look at EOD reports from the previous day. So if you're a sales manager or a business owner, you want to see what your salespeople were doing yesterday and look at their numbers and see how we can improve them today. And then obviously other reporting from yesterday's deals and deposits, who closed, didn't close, revenue, cash collected, show rate, all that good stuff, right? And next is management. This is daily non-negotiable. On everyday's meetings, we do these three things: set expectations for the day. We want to show them wins and announcements. And the reason for this is the more you share wins and the more you share the progress your clients are actually making, or the wins your clients are getting because of the thing that you sell, your salespeople will have that much more conviction in your offer, in your thing, and they'd want to continue selling it more. And that level of conviction will translate into their sales calls. And then you also want to do trainings and any other Q&A for whether it's underperformers or mediocre salespeople. Trainings is mandatory, again, on a very regular basis. Middle of the day is pretty simple. We want to call reviews with someone that feels like, or if you listen to a call that you felt like should have closed and it didn't, do the call review, find out why it didn't close, all the follow up that needs to be done on a daily basis, and then individual coaching for any of the underperformers. And then end of the day, basically two things we're looking at: collecting data, number one, from setters and closers every single day, number of sets and number of call schedules. Set to taking calls, live calls taken from the number of calls that were scheduled. What happened with those calls? Results, right? How many were deals? How much cash was collected? How much revenue was contracted? And then you have inefficiencies, no shows, right? Trace these back to the setter. If very very good chances, if unless you're running like a direct to call funnel, then there's no setter involved. It's a different conversation, marketing / lead quality. But if a setter is booking the calls and the no-show rate is high, there's a problem with the setting team, right? Same thing with offers made and not closed. Why didn't they close? And same thing with unqualified leads. This is going back to beginning of the day, grading applications right here, right? So beginning of day, middle of day, end of day. Now, one thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about is communication amongst closers and setters. I know a lot of sales managers or business owners sometimes get this weird power trip that everything has to go through them. I don't believe in that. I think you should let your team be autonomous after a certain point. A closer telling the setter the quality, the current status, and the outcome of each deal keeps them motivated. They know how many deals they have coming in the pipeline, and now they can continue bringing them better appointments. If the closer tells them, "Hey, the last 3 calls you booked, they weren't aware of whether it's the price or the urgency wasn't there or whatever it is," that feedback should go to the setter. So now the appointments the setter books for the closer are going to be a lot better. Nowhere here does a fucking sales manager need to be involved. You can be involved on a weekly basis. Hey, setter, such and such told me your appointments were not showing up, or there was no urgency, or whatever the case. You can help the setter improve that, but don't cut off communication, because a solid top tier communication between setters and closers, it equals better lead nurturing, which equals increased show rate, which equals higher conversion, which equals a motivated team. And it's a win, 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 win all around. All right. So that is the step by step, the ultimate guide to building a high performing sales team. Hopefully, you got some solid sauce out of this one, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.